adjust. And so, and I feel like no matter what, once I get a few laps under me, I get the feel of it and we'll be good to go. But it's one thing I've always done is, like figuring out how to go faster. So if I can get in a sprint car that's been proven, I probably, give it a shot. And from what Donnie Schatz, some of the Jacobs, and the other ones that's tried to go from the sprints down to a late model, they said they're way too hard to drive. Sprint cars are easier. So my hope is that if I ever do it, that would be the case, and I'd really get right after it and not make an idiot of myself.
So did you say you started in a late model? Is that was that your first racing experience, or was it super stock or something other?
Well, actually, my very first race, I was 14 or 15, and those push buggies that are a little bit nicer looking. They kind of look like part of a race car, Wayne County, or it has the bigger tires on the back and stuff. Well, that's actually, they had a run what you brung in the late models. So, and my dad and them built one for my sister's boyfriend at the time back in the day in '93. And that's actually the first thing I raced was a push buggy that was made to start sprint cars. And I finished 9th in that race, in that down at Lakeville Speedway. And that was the first thing I ever drove. But then I went straight into, then once I proved that I was okay in that, didn't knock the fenders off or anything, and Dad let me get into our backup car that we had at that time for Charlie Duncan, because he was our team driver. And we missed the race by one night, which I think it was to Matt Miller even in the B main, and it was a deal where Wayne County used to get 38 cars on a local night, and it was just a deal where I didn't make the race and ended up I sat, and then the following year, because that was the end of the year, and then the following year I started basically June 12th of 1999 in the limited late model class. It's basically steel motor, narrower tires, and then the very next year in 2000s when I went basically full blown into the late models then.
So you've got about 18 years in the full-blown late model or super late model at this point.
Yeah.
I noticed that you've ran all the local tracks from Lakeville to Wooster to Attica, and I saw you ventured out in Pennsylvania. Is that something that you've been traveling to the east or the west for years? Are there places that you've been that you really love, or places that you haven't been that you want to get to?
There's definitely, my third year ever racing, we jumped right into and ran. It was the last year for their Renegade series. There was kind of Star Series, Renegade Dirt Car Series. We jumped into that, and that's where I basically started traveling around. I had my open trailer and everything. I mean, I was like the shoestring traveler, like Chubb Frank basically was back in the day, and of this era, I guess you could say, because everybody else had big haulers and stuff, and there I am with my one car, one engine, just trying. And we ended up at 11th that year in points, but we didn't go to Florida, so that really hurt us come later. I should have went if I was going to go ahead and do it. But we got to a lot of different tracks, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, a lot of different ones that was on that schedule that year. And I learned that I felt that's how I'm going to learn quick. If I just sit here and run locally, it wasn't going to speed up my process to catch up to the best drivers in our area, like Ryan Markham and Gentry and stuff. I was going to struggle, I think. But by doing that is why. And I don't know exactly how many tracks we've been to, but my brother, Dan, he helps us on the car and stuff, but he has my stats down like crazy. Like, I didn't even know we won our 150th late model race, which was the very first one of the year this year. And since we missed it, now I feel like we got to get to 200, which if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll get there sooner than later. But no, and it's just the traveling expenses wise to get places. Everybody complains about how much more expensive racing is, and it really is. And I mean, yeah, you're talking $5 a night or a pit pass, and tires are pretty much $5 to $10 a tire more, which you only go through a couple. So yeah, you're looking at basically $50 a weekend it's more. However, when you look at the fuel part of it, you're almost $1 a gallon difference. And that's kind of, I guess, the bigger thing. And then when you go to other tracks, all the money is pretty much the same. So that's why we now have kind of stuck closer to home. And then with Attica's points deal, it's really made it a lot easier to stay there with, as long as you finish at 1 or 2 spot, it makes sense. But, so it's hard to chase money without that fuel sponsor and stuff. And if we have that, then I feel like next year even we're going to venture out a lot more. The tracks I want to get back on that, yeah, I want to get to Knoxville, I-80. Really, those are the 2 that I've kind of have on my bucket list.
You mentioned like Ryan Mark and then J.R. Gentry, and I've watched you have some really great battles with Ryan and Rusty Schlenk, Matt Irie. So who would be the toughest local competitor that you go up against, and then who would be like the toughest non-local that you've raced against?
Like where we race more often, especially around this area, because Rusty gets around there, and we've raced against pretty much everybody now. But Ryan definitely is my biggest, and I don't know, to me, we're kind of the yin and yang or whatever, because we balance each other out. If he's not racing, then, and JR is really good this year, but I'm just going to say between Ryan and I, if one of us isn't there, then normally that person wins, because we just drive hard. We do what we can, whatever it is, to win. He works on his stuff. We have, and you can take a bad car. There's a few drivers that can take bad cars and still win with them. And Ryan's one of those guys. And that's what a lot of people think. I don't like him. And I know they might not like me, but I don't. I respect Ryan a lot. I think he's a heck of a race car driver. He's one of the first ones that's helped me when I was getting started with information. And then all of a sudden started getting better and better. And now I kind of taken that, I don't know, the reign, I guess, of winning quite a bit. So, so I just think we balance each other out. I mean, but he's, I'd say, the local guy, and then Rusty on the regional level, for sure. And then if we're up in the northern part, and then when we're down south, you're looking at Jackie Boggs or the Conleys that, I look as those are my competition that I got to worry about beating when we go down to the southern places.
So you speak of you're talking about running against these local drivers. On this episode of the podcast, we had the chance to talk to Sheldon Haudenschild on Sunday while he was on his way out to Knoxville, and we're going to couple you guys together since you're both from Wayne County. Can you talk a little bit about the racing culture or the racing family in Wayne County? Do you ever cross paths with the Haudenschild family? And it's a deep embedded history over there. How close is it? And how do you guys support each other and work together? Or do you get to see them very much?
No, really we don't. I mean, Sheldon, I don't say they don't get out, but obviously we all don't get out at the same times. Because we've been to a couple places, a bar or whatever, bar and grill deal, and you can see each other, but it's just, hey, how you doing type stuff. And Jack is actually more so than Sheldon. Sheldon, I've never seen him. I guess he's always on the go, or he's always doing something. So,
right.
But obviously, it's not that I wouldn't want to, because I mean, who wouldn't want to, chill with them? But I mean, they all have their clique, a group of people. We have friends of mutual friends, and they kind of fill you in on what's happening. We've gone over there and raced go-karts and stuff, but like at Ordeal, Sheldon wasn't there that day. It was Jack and a couple of the other guys. But literally they are not but 4 miles from my house. JR lives, I think, 1.5 miles from us. One road connects us, and it's crazy, but really we all kind of do our own thing. I mean, we all, our garage, I guess, is more if you need something, then you come ask. But because we try to keep a lot of stuff on hand, but we don't really have that going out and stuff. I really think we should. And actually that's what I was thinking for this year, was an end of the year race party where you invite pretty much anybody and everybody, because we all have the like-minded, passion for the sport. So even if it's a party, we all have have a good time. Then no matter what, if you don't have to feel awkward coming, because we all share that interest.
Well, this is a good place to spread that word if you're interested in getting it started.
There you go.
End of the year go-kart race. That's what I would like to see.
Heck yeah. Well, then I thought about that, was renting one of the places out, or even Sheldon place would be great because it's a dirt track. So that'd be awesome. But, and then when we go up to the Medina indoor karts deal, you see Sheldon's name and Eric and a couple of those to help his crew. And then normally there's our group right there in the mix. Cody, he's really good at the go-kart, so he's in the mix with me. I'm, for whatever reason, I just can't figure out the stuff, but we're still in those top names. But usually once it's a new month or whatever, we're all up there, but we've never gone together. So I think maybe this is a thing where maybe I should, and just say I'm renting the place out and invite all of them up on a weekend that we're all not racing.
Well, yeah, that sounds like something that could be very interesting for a bunch of Ohio drivers to get together. And every time we have a new podcast, we get new ideas. So
there you go.
That might be something we can work together on.
Absolutely, sounds a good idea to me.
We'll put Cody Sommer on it.
There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
Speaking of Ohio drivers and Cody Sommer, in just a few weeks here, we've got the Dirt Million coming up. This will be the second year of the Dirt Million and your second year back. And one of the unique features of the Dirt Million is that fans can support you, and they can, through the website, and help you out with those pit passes and things like that. And your name is up on the website. And are you feeling? What are you feeling about the Dirt Million this year, going into a 3-night event?
I'm definitely feeling like the way our car's been. I know, that's one thing. When you don't race maybe the best competition every week, you got to race a stopwatch. And everywhere we've been quick. And I really think this year I missed it last year with a car I really didn't care for and threw me for a loop, never felt right. And we only missed it by, I think, .00 whatever at the line in that B main with Nick Hoffman. And obviously I remember it. That's why I can, rattle it off real quick, because it ate at me not making that race. I think it's a great thing what Cody's doing for the people. But to me, I think that support deal, I think you should throw away anybody that's won a national race like that as far as being in the point system, because they are the best in the country. They're doing it week in and week out. They obviously have the money to do it. So why do they need a free pass into the race? To me, earn their way in. But when you get the regional local, and to me, that's who might not be, it's hard to get in the race. But once you're in a race, it's easy to run 100 laps. People don't understand that part. Just like myself, never got into the world or anything. But when you talk to people, it's the hardest part of that whole weekend is not the 100 lapper. It's just getting in. So to me, I don't know. I have a major issue when I see Bobby Pierce. That's why I don't even push the deal for fans to vote for me and everything, because, I'm not more than likely going to have more fans than Scott Bloomquist. Yeah, I could do some strategic ways of getting in and all that, but if Scott Bloomquist can't race his way into that race, then he should be staying at home. That's just my personal opinion. Bobby Pierce the same way. Those guys wheel the heck out of race cars. They're better than all of us. So why wouldn't you want to see regional guys maybe have their shot at that big money versus guys that race for it every week? They got free passes and stuff. So regardless, that's my pet peeve on that. But I'm definitely looking forward, and I'd be disappointed if we didn't make the race this year. But it is a tricky format, so hopefully we're just faster than a lot of the guys, and we can make it in.
I was going to mention you are one of the fewer local drivers that are going in, and all the guys on the tour are registered, obviously, and we're excited to see as many Ohio drivers as we can get in there. So last year, you had a good showing on Friday night. I believe you ended up qualifying, and then the heat race. Let's see, you went in finished up 17th, I believe, in your dual qualification.